Hello guys, welcome back to Anime Moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Renegade Immortal based on novel. So let's start. At this moment, the guards from inside and outside the city came out filled with killing intent and surrounded Wang Lin. Some guards had already reported this to the higher-ups. The people waiting to enter the city quickly scattered and prepared to watch a good show. Wang Lin said, in a serious tone, 13. 13 quickly walked up with a very respectful expression. Even if Wang Lin scolded him, he would have no complaints. Wang Lin's voice was low. That punch of yours was wrong. 13 quickly said, in 13's eyes, anyone who is disrespectful to ancestor is my enemy. Hu Pao silently pondered on the side. Earlier, he sort of regretted not rushing in like 13 did. However, when he saw Wang Lin's serious expression, he secretly let out a sigh of relief. He felt it was lucky he didn't act, because it would not be good to make the ancestor angry. Wang Lin shook his head and said, although you used all your strength on that punch, 40% of the power was lost. This means you haven't fully mastered it yet. How else could that demon soldier have withstood the blow? He wouldn't have any signs of life in him right now if you had done it correctly. 13 was startled, but he quickly nodded and began to ponder. At this moment, more than a dozen demon soldiers had gathered around Wang Lin. No one knew who, but one of them let out a roar and charged at them with his weapon. Outside the gate, demonic spiritual energy was being released, sand was kicked into the air, and a powerful killing intent appeared as the demon soldiers charged out. These demon soldiers were all veterans of war, so as long as the cultivation level difference wasn't too great, even those more powerful than them would be pressured by their fierce aura. Watch carefully. Although body refining is different from spells, there are still some similarities. Although I didn't refine body, my punch will have a similar effect. With that, Wang Lin formed a fist with his right hand and casually threw a punch. This punch hit the air, but soon a ripple began to spread out with his fist as the center. The demon soldiers rushing over immediately slowed down after being hit by the ripple. It was as if the air around them was being solidified. But soon, the ripple shook violently and all of the demon soldiers were knocked back at a speed 10 times faster than when they rushed over. As they were knocked back, their faces were pale and they all coughed out mouthfuls of blood. Wang Lin didn't withdraw his fist but opened it. All of the blood the demon soldiers coughed out didn't fall but gathered toward Wang Lin, and soon, a ball of blood formed before his hand. He pushed his right hand forward, causing the ball of blood to fly out like lightning at the city's wall. Just at the moment the ball of blood was about to land, a cold snort came from inside the gate. Shortly after, a red figure suddenly appeared outside the gate. This person pointed at the air, causing the ball of blood to suddenly collapse back into blood just before it hit the wall. Wang Lin's expression remained normal as he said, I'm surprised to meet someone who came from the same place as me. The red light disappeared to reveal a woman. After the woman appeared, the surrounding demon soldiers all kneeled down and said, Greetings, Commander Yao. Her eyes were bright like a phoenix and contained a hint of killing intent, and she was wearing all white. Her black hair flowed behind her back as she coldly looked at Wang Lin, frowned, and said, Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes faintly lit up and he carefully looked at her. He had seen this woman outside the East Demon Spirit Sea. This woman had an area all to herself, which made her quite eye-catching. This was the reason Wang Lin noticed her. This woman was at the late stage of soul transformation, and although she wasn't at the peak, she wasn't far away. It looks like quite a few people on planet Qian know my name. Wang Lin smiled and walked forward. With this one step, a ferocious aura suddenly appeared behind him and spread out like crazy. The white-robed woman coldly looked at Wang Lin, then she frowned, took a step back, and said, So you are also in the Sky Demon country. You must have came to Ancient Demon City to gain military merits as well, so a battle between the two of us has no meaning. As she spoke, she turned around and walked into the city. Wang Lin faintly smiled as he walked through the city's gate. 13 and Hu Pao quickly followed. The white-robed woman's speed wasn't very fast. She didn't go directly into the city but toward a plaza, and in the plaza there was a giant transfer array. There were demon soldiers guarding the transfer array. When they saw the woman, they all kneeled down and were very respectful. Inside the transfer array, the woman turned around and coldly said to Wang Lin, "Follow me to meet the general of the left wing. In ancient demon city, only the demon general can give you a position." Wang Lin nodded and said to 13 and Hu Pao, "The two of you wait for me inside the city." With that, he entered the transfer array. At the moment he walked in, the transfer array activated, and Wang Lin and the woman disappeared in waves of white light. After a slight discomfort from being transported, Wang Lin returned to normal and looked around at where he had been teleported to. He immediately noticed a magnificent building that pierced into the sky. This was a giant palace, and there was a giant statue inside it that seemed to pierce into the heavens. It was a statue of a strong man wearing armor, and it was releasing a powerful demonic aura. The entire sky was being churned by this demonic aura, creating swirls in the clouds. The white-robed woman walked out of the transfer array and said, "Lord Demon General, I have brought the person here." Just as she finished speaking, a burst of hearty laughter came from inside the palace. Shortly after, a figure suddenly jumped down from the giant statue. This figure was extremely fast and quickly closed in before stopping in the sky. This person looked normal, but he gave off the aura of someone powerful. He was wearing a purple robe, his arms were extreme large, and he gave off a commanding aura just by standing there. His eyes lit up like a torch as he looked at Wang Lin and smiled. "So you are the foreigner that was attacking my demon soldiers outside the wall." Wang Lin's pupils unnoticeably shrank. This person had his demonic spiritual energy completely withdrawn into his body, so a normal person wouldn't be able to notice. But with Wang Lin's cultivation, he could tell that this person was very powerful. The amount of demonic spiritual energy inside this person was few 100,000 ranks strong. If this person wasn't as powerful as an ascendant cultivator, he was very close. It has to be said that 3 stars equal 1 rank. 3 ranks equal foundation establishment, 30 ranks equal core formation, 300 ranks equal nascent soul, 3,000 ranks equal soul formation, 30,000 ranks equal soul transformation, and 300,000 ranks equal ascendant. Wang Lin raised his head. His expression remained calm and he seriously said, "It was." The burly man's eyes became serious and he let out a laugh. He stepped forward, threw a punch, and said, "Good. Then let this general see what kind of skill you have." This punch moved like lightning but strangely made no sound. Although it collided with the air, the force charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't reveal any shock on his face as he raised his right thumb and pressed it at the air. Finger of death. The white-robed woman's eyes lit up. The area 100 feet around Wang Lin became filled with death as if all the life in that area had been absorbed by the finger. At the moment he used the finger of death, there was a loud bang in the air between him and the burly man. Wang Lin was forced back 3 steps and his eyes became cold. He then looked at the burly man in the sky. The man withdrew his right fist and his body swayed a bit. His eyes were like lightning as he said, "Good, this general used gravity to get an advantage over you. With that finger, you are qualified to become an elder under me." Wang Lin's expression was calm as he said, "I don't want an inner position." The burly man's face became serious and then he smiled. "Your understanding of the demon spirit land is beyond my expectations. You know the difference between inner and outer positions." In Luo Yun's memories, his ancestor told him of the inner and outer positions. Elders and such were inner positions without any soldiers under them. Only those with outer positions, like commanders, had troops under their command. The demon emperor said that we can give you foreigners any position as long as you have the ability. Little fellow, if you want an outer position, then you need to bring out your true ability, and that finger wasn't strong enough. Wang Lin took a deep breath as he became focused and said, "You can continue." The burly man revealed a hint of admiration. He didn't waste any time as he threw a punch before quickly pulling his fist back to throw another punch. His speed was extremely fast, and in almost an instant, he threw 10 punches. The space around him began to show signs of collapsing, but the space here was very sturdy, so it didn't collapse after only 10 punches. If you can withstand my 10 collapsing battle intent, you can be a chief commander. The burly man let out a loud roar as his hand reached out. It was as if he had reached through the void, grabbed the collapsing space, and threw it at Wang Lin. This 10 collapsing battle intent wasn't corporeal, it was part of the void. It contained all of the demonic aura of the demon general's 10 punches and was filled with his intense killing intent. The 10 punches would cause space to collapse a total of 10 times, one with each punch. On the 10th collapse, the spell would become unimaginably powerful. This kind of spell was extremely rare even among the entire cultivation world. This was the first time Wang Lin had faced something like this. At almost the instant the 10 collapse battle intent started flying toward Wang Lin, he was able to see through it. His eyes suddenly lit up brightly, and with one step, he stood straight like a 10,000-year-old pine tree. He didn't use any magic treasures, but grey gas started moving on his right arm and the celestial slaughter art was used. At the same time, he pointed with his index and used the demonic finger spell. The celestial spiritual energy inside his body quickly turned into demonic spiritual energy and condensed on his index finger. Of the 3 killing spells, the first 2, Finger of Death and Demonic Finger, were often used by Wang Lin. Their power wasn't enough to threaten ascendant cultivators and could only be used to suppress soul transformation cultivators. But when Sichu Nan used the Finger of Death and Demonic Finger, their power was shocking, even ascendant cultivators would be killed by them. Aside from the difference in cultivation levels between Wang Lin and Sichu Nan, there were also the essences of the Finger of Death and Demonic Finger. These 3 killing spells were created by Sichu Nan, so of course they were of demonic nature. Unless one had a demonic heart, it would be impossible to learn the essences. And Wang Lin's Dao was very different from Sichu Nan's Dao. Thus, when Wang Lin used these 2 spells, they lacked change and flexibility. In truth, there were follow-up spells to these 2 spells, but because Sichu Na noticed their differences, he didn't teach them to Wang Lin. It wasn't him being stingy, but with the passage of time, there would be a high chance of Wang Lin's Dao being changed. The final spell of the 3 killing spells, the Underworld Finger, was far more powerful than the other 2, and its power was extremely close to a low-quality celestial spell. When Sichu Nan taught it to Wang Lin, he was very worried. The reason he was so worried was not only because the spell was powerful enough to threaten ascendant cultivators, but also because if Wang Lin used it too much, it would affect his Dao heart and slowly bring him down to the demonic path. The final spell was different from the other 2 spells. Without the follow-up spells, Wang Lin could use them as much as he wanted without affecting his Dao heart. But the 3rd spell was different. There wasn't a follow-up spell, and all of the power was just in the spell itself. Sichu Nan told Wang Lin all of this before, and this is why in all these years, Wang Lin only used it once in the battle against the Purple Division's 6th brother, Chen Dao. Among the 3 killing spells, the last spell was the true killing spell. The 10 collapse battle intent was created in the void and was part of the heavens. It was incorporeal, and it was a punch that contained the demon general's full strength. His fist intent was so powerful that it could pierce through the void and kill someone. At the moment Wang Lin stuck out his index finger, the celestial spiritual energy in his body moved like crazy, then it turned into demonic spiritual energy and gathered at the tip of his finger. In almost an instant, his finger was surrounded by a dense, black light that not even sunlight could pierce. This kind of black was pure demonic spiritual energy. At the moment Wang Lin's index finger pointed up, he felt the monstrous fist intent in the air, and at this moment, the first collapse arrived. It was as if the entire sky was collapsing and the center point was Wang Lin. A destructive aura quickly came from all directions and landed on Wang Lin's body. The black light shined brightly and the celestial spiritual energy in his body cycled like crazy. Suddenly, the black light on his index finger expanded to cover his entire body. A heaven-shaking sound echoed across the entire ancient demon city. Wang Lin's face turned pale, and he was knocked back several steps before he could stabilize his body. His right index finger trembled slightly and was completely numb. The destructive force that landed on his body quickly withdrew like the tides, but then it quickly charged back at him with force 10 times stronger than before. The second collapse arrived. The second collapse's speed was several times faster than the first one's, and it came from all directions almost an instant after it. Wang Lin's right index finger was still trembling. The power of the demonic finger could only help him withstand the first collapse. This is definitely not a spell a soul transformation cultivator can use. Even among ascendant cultivators, only 1 out of every 10 can use this kind of spell. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light. The power of the second collapse was 10 times greater than the power of the first collapse. At this moment, the sky within 10,000 feet darkened as if there was a sandstorm going on. Even the never-ending swirl above the palace was affected. Wang Lin let out a low roar, then 2 strands of grey gas appeared on his hand and moved like 2 dragons. At this moment, he used the celestial slaughter art without any hesitation. The 2 strands of grey gas charged out and broke through the sonic barrier, but they immediately met the power of the second collapse. The power of the second collapse was very powerful. Following a series of rumbling sounds, the 2 strands of grey gas weren't destroyed. Instead, they collapsed to form a vortex with Wang Lin as the center. The power of the second collapse landed on the grey gas and quickly weakened. At the same time, killing intent quickly came out from the grey vortex. This killing intent was very shocking, and it gave people the feeling that it could kill celestials and rulers. The killing intent forcibly opened a bloody path through the power of the second collapse. It used its heaven-shaking killing intent to force the power of the second collapse back. At the same time, Wang Lin took a step and charged forward like a meteor. At the same time that his right hand reached out, the grey vortex suddenly dissipated, turning back into 2 strands of grey gas in Wang Lin's right hand. Condense. With a roar, the 2 strands of grey gas quickly condensed into a 7-inch-long sword in Wang Lin's hand. With the sword in hand, Wang Lin's body gave off a shocking killing intent. At this moment, Wang Lin seemed to have become a different person. There was no longer the air of a celestial around him, it was replaced by killing intent. At this moment, he was like a demon of slaughter. He held a slaughtering sword and stepped into the void toward the general of the left wing. The general of the left wing exclaimed, then his eyes lit up and he said, "Good. You are one of the few people that decided to attack during my 10 collapse battle intent. Let's see if you can break past the next 8 collapses and arrive before me." At this moment, the white-robed woman, the daughter of blood ancestor Yao Shishu, was still standing in the distance, slightly frowning. When she arrived at Ancient Demon City 3 years ago, she was defeated by this spell. This spell was extremely tyrannical, and with her cultivation, she almost failed on the 4th collapse. If it wasn't for the blood spell her father taught her, she wouldn't have been able to withstand the 5th collapse. Even so, she finally lost on the 8th collapse. However, the general of the left wing was hard to read, he gave her the title of commander. There weren't many commanders, a total of 16. Wang Lin revealed his path of slaughter as he charged at the demon general with the sword. However, there were still 8 collapses between him and the demon general. The 3rd collapse had 10 times the power of the 2nd collapse. It silently pressed down on Wang Lin from all directions as if countless mountains were crashing into him. Wang Lin's eyes became red and his killing intent thickened. In the face of this 3rd collapse, he had no urge to back down and instead was filled with the urge to battle. With the slaughter sword in hand, he shouted, "Break for me, 3rd collapse." The slaughter sword gave off a never-before-seen grey light. This grey light extended for more than 10 feet and surrounded Wang Lin, then he charged through like a meteor. The power of the single sword could shock the heavens and vanquish supernatural beings. The 3rd collapse that came from the void was forcibly cut open, allowing Wang Lin to pierce through and charge directly at the demon general. The general of the left wing's eyes lit up even more and he smiled. Good. Just as Wang Lin charged out, the 4th collapse arrived. The later the collapse, the faster the next one arrives, and their power was also much stronger. At this moment, the 4th collapse was 1,000 times stronger than the first one. This kind of power was not something normal soul transformation cultivators could resist. The appearance of the 4th collapse immediately caused the sky to change color. Even the swirl above the palace began to twist as if it couldn't withstand the 4th collapse's power. The 4th collapse rushed at Wang Lin and the killing force Wang Lin created with the sword immediately collapsed. This 4th collapse with power 1,000 times greater than the 1st collapse was impossible to resist unless one reached the late stage of soul transformation. Wang Lin's body split from the slaughter sword, and at the same time, The power of the fourth collapse came at him like an avalanche. If the fourth collapse was the raging waves, then Wang Lin would be the lone boat on the sea. Wang Lin's face was extremely pale, and he couldn't help but stop his charge. Right now his body was being squeezed by a very violent force. He could feel that he couldn't withstand this fourth collapse with his own power. If he had more of the grey gas, he might have been able to break through. However, in these 4 years, although he had killed many, the celestial slaughter art was very difficult to succeed with. Aside from the celestial slaughter art, he should be able to break through with the underworld finger. However, the underworld finger was his true ace, and in this dangerous demon spirit land, he wasn't willing to easily reveal his true strength. At this moment, Wang Lin revealed a determined look as he let go of the slaughter sword, which then broke down back into 2 strands of grey gas. Then it quickly entered his body through his arm and 2 symbols quickly appeared on his forehead. The 2 symbols then spread across his body to form the defense of 2 life force seals. Just at this moment, the fourth collapse arrived. The power of a natural disaster, the power that was 1,000 times greater than the first arrived. At this moment Wang Lin clearly felt the fist intent from the fourth collapse. Inside the fist intent lied a type of faith. Faith. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly lit up. This light had rarely appeared in Wang Lin's eyes in these past several hundred years. It was just like Zhu Yi, who suddenly gained enlightenment when his soul was burning. At this moment, he felt the faith inside the 10 collapse battle intent. This faith came from the faith to always win on the blood-filled battlefield. It was formed from the will of everyone who died or was defeated by this technique. The power of this faith was far more powerful than Wang Lin could imagine. While Wang Lin's body was withstanding the power of the fourth collapse, his soul was suffering the effect of the faith within the fourth collapse. 10 collapses is normally the limit, but this technique is actually evolving toward the 11th collapse. The reason the general of the left wing used this technique on me is to defeat me with it, to absorb my faith, and thus increase the power of this technique. The reason the 10 collapse battle intent is powerful is because of the faith inside it. The more people he kills and defeats with it, the more powerful it becomes. A sense of frustration involuntarily appeared in his heart. However, just as this feeling began to bud, it was immediately crushed by Wang Lin. His body was thrown back by a large force and directly landed on the ground 1,000 feet away. At the moment he landed, his body flipped around and his nails scraped against the ground, creating a sharp sound. Wang Lin moved back more than 100 feet before he finally stabilized himself. At this moment, Wang Lin's entire body was covered by the symbol on his forehead. This symbol immediately collapsed and disappeared after withstanding the force of the fourth collapse. Right now there was only half a symbol left on his forehead, and it was only giving off a faint, grey light. Right now only half of a life seal formed from the celestial slaughter art remained, the rest had dissipated. The golden light in the general of the left wing's eyes disappeared and he calmly said, "It is already very difficult to resist against the power of the fourth collapse with your mid-stage soul transformation cultivation. You can stand down. It is impossible for you to obtain the position of chief commander, you can't even obtain the position of commander. The only position for you is elder." Although his expression didn't show disdain, his words did. Wang Lin's eyes flashed brightly. The fist intent contained within the 10 collapses represented the peak of the general spirit. For a cultivator, it was how refined a person's Tao heart was. The Tao heart fuses with the origin soul and thus causes the origin soul to evolve. Then there will be only one faith in one's body. This faith is very strong and can change even the heavens and earth. It was a faith spell. Faith spell. Wang Lin slowly raised his head and looked at the general of the left wing. His gaze was deep as if it contained wisdom and enlightenment. Wang Lin's gaze gradually became brighter and brighter. He raised his hand once more and used the demonic finger once more. It was the exact same movement, the exact same spell, but when Wang Lin used it this second time, it was completely different. In the eyes of the general of the left wing, his movements were very different from before. The light that disappeared from the general's eyes returned and was even brighter than before. This, the general of the left wing immediately noticed the difference and couldn't help but pay close attention. Yao Shishue, who was standing at a distance, stared straight at Wang Lin. There was a storm in her heart, and she remembered her father's words. Her father, the blood ancestor, paid a lot of attention to Wang Lin. A demonic aura came out from Wang Lin's body and formed a faint, black fog 3 feet around him. Inside the black fog, Wang Lin's eyes slowly became gloomy. This gloominess was filled with coldness and was very demonic in nature. Faith spell. The spells I've used so far were only shells, because without faith, I can't use their true power, Wang Lin muttered to himself as he looked at his right index finger. He then suddenly pointed at the sky. One finger to question the heavens. At this moment, the swirl above the palace suddenly disappeared. The entire sky was then covered by a black cloud. The cloud quickly became even darker and there even seemed to be ghosts howling within them. One demonic finger. Demonic spiritual energy filled the area. The celestial spiritual energy inside Wang Lin's body didn't move but silently became demonic spiritual energy. This demonic spiritual energy was drastically different from the demonic spiritual energy formed when celestial spiritual energy was cycled. Wang Lin's hair mysteriously started growing and reached his knees in the blink of an eye. His whole person was no longer gentle but was filled with a violent aura. On his forehead, 6 demonic marks appeared. The demonic spiritual energy around him quickly became very dense and spread from 3 feet to 100 feet. Everything within 100 feet of him was now filled with raging demonic spiritual energy. This demonic spiritual energy became dense to the point that it became specks of green flames and scattered in a circle on the ground. The inside and outside of his body were completely occupied by demonic spiritual energy. At this moment, Wang Lin suddenly raised his head and let out a laugh. This laughter was filled with a tyrannical aura and a crazy amount of killing intent. Just at this moment, the half of a life force seal behind the 6 demonic marks seemed to have fused with Wang Lin and quickly began to grow. In almost an instant, it turned from half of a life seal to a complete life seal. The moment the seal was complete, it quickly spread and surrounded Wang Lin's entire body. Wang Lin took a step forward. His movement wasn't fast, but he slowly walked step by step toward the general of the left wing in the sky. The golden light in the general's eyes intensified, and he shouted, "Interesting. You are the first person to have a breakthrough under my 10 collapse battle intent. Let me see if you can withstand this 5th collapse." The 5th collapse suddenly arrived from the void after the demon general finished speaking. This 5th collapse was 10 times the power of the 4th collapse. The moment it appeared, thunderous roars echoed as if divine retribution was occurring in the surrounding 10,000 feet. It was so loud that the entire ancient demon city could clearly hear the thunderous roars. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy as he faced the 5th collapse with the demonic finger. His right index finger suddenly pressed forward, then all of the demonic spiritual energy gathered at the tip of his finger and suddenly turned into a demonic flame. The true power of the demonic finger was used by Wang Lin for the first time. The demonic flame around his finger endlessly expanded, forming a sea of demonic flames around him. Wang Lin then took a step and flew into the air. His right index finger charged forward directly at the demon general. At almost the same moment the 5th collapse appeared, it was stopped by the demonic flame. While it was stopped, Wang Lin charged through with the demonic finger, and after a series of rumbling sounds, he broke through. Right now he was only 100 feet from the demon general. The 6th collapse appeared shortly after. Words were unable to describe the power of the 6th collapse. After it appeared, the 100-foot space between Wang Lin and the demon general began to collapse, and countless cracks in space opened up. The power of the 6th collapse suddenly descended. Wang Lin's expression was still gloomy, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. He didn't withdraw his finger and his body kept moving forward. The 6th collapse appeared from the void in the form of a ring of light and closed in on Wang Lin. However, at the moment it touched Wang Lin's finger, he softly said, "Demonic transformation." After uttering those words, his index finger released a black light. The black light extended from his finger and covered his entire right arm. The black light continued to spread and soon covered his whole body. At the moment the circle of light closed in, Wang Lin's entire body was covered in this black light. His body looked like a shadow, and with one step he pierced through the circle of light that was the sixth collapse. At the moment he charged through, the sixth collapse shattered. The golden light in the general of the left wing's eyes shined brightly and he shouted, "What a foreigner! This general really did underestimate you. I'll wait for you here, there are still 4 collapses. The faith in your spell is the belief that you will obtain victory. It is formed from the will and spirit of everyone who has lost to this technique of yours. I don't have the cultivation to break through your 10 collapses, but I know that the key to breaking your technique isn't cultivation but faith. To break your faith, I turned into a demon with this finger and fused this faith with my demonic finger. Thus, my demonic finger now seems to have a soul of its own. Now it is not a competition of our cultivation, but a fight of our faith." As Wang Lin calmly said this, he took another step forward. The 7th collapse arrived. At the moment the 7th collapse appeared, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he shouted, "Make way." With these 2 words, the 7th collapse that was about to appear seemed to become corporeal and suddenly broke down. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with determination, and there was a flame of faith burning within them. What kept his heart steadfast was the spirit of the demonic finger. Although he only said 2 words, they contained his unquestionable faith. It wasn't faith in slaughter or victory, it was the faith of a demonic mindset. A demonic mindset was to defy the heavens, to defy anything others wished for, to steal life, to destroy people's Tao, to do as you wish, and to walk the path of a demon. The general of the left wing's expression finally changed. When he first saw Wang Lin, he never considered him to be anything. It was only when Wang Lin broke through the first 3 collapses that he properly looked at him. However, the failure at the 4th collapse was within his expectations. This was where Wang Lin's path stopped, and he was not the person the Demon Emperor was looking for. But he never would have imagined that the person before him would gain enlightenment after the 4th collapse. This person's enlightenment turned him into a demon. Even so, he still only paid a little attention and didn't think much of it. In his mind, although this kind of enlightenment was rare, it would be stopped at the 7th collapse. However, when Wang Lin shattered the 7th collapse with just 2 words, this caught his attention completely and made his expression change. He immediately understood that he had made a huge mistake right from the start and that he had been underestimating this person. With his status, there hasn't been anything worthy of his full attention in several thousand years. This was the first time someone had grabbed his attention in thousands of years. As Wang Lin stepped through the air toward the general, his long hair flowed behind him. He was like a demon god with a hint of ruthlessness in his cold expression. After breaking the 7th collapse, he was only 50 feet from the demon general. The general of the left wing's expression was very serious as he looked at Wang Lin. At this moment, the 8th collapse surged out from the void like a flood and entered the world. This 8th collapse displayed an unprecedented amount of power as it turned from incorporeal to corporeal and smashed into Wang Lin like a real flood. With his body surrounded by demonic spiritual energy, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he walked directly toward the 8th collapse. At the moment his body touched the 8th collapse, the demonic flame around him suddenly intensified. It turned into a demonic aura that pierced directly into the heavens. Right now it felt like the entire world was filled with a demonic aura. The 8th collapse hadn't been destroyed yet, but the 9th collapse silently appeared. Wang Lin slightly frowned. Although he had turned into a demon and had the ideals of a demon, his Tao heart was still stable. However, if he continued to become even more demonic, it would be hard for his Tao heart to not be affected. Wang Lin was very familiar with the drawbacks of walking the demonic path. At this moment, the 8th and 9th collapses arrived. Wang Lin quickly weighed his choices and immediately made a decision. He looked at the demon general, who was now only 30 feet away. After letting out a sigh, rather than charging forward, he retreated. He retreated so quickly that his body completely disappeared, and when he reappeared he was more than 10,000 feet away. The general of the left wing was startled. His eyes faintly flashed and he laughed loudly. You know when to retreat and you understand when to make the right decision. Good. With that, he reached out with his right hand, and with a series of rumblings, the 10 collapse fists disappeared. At this moment, the heavens and earth seemed to return to normal. Although you didn't break my 10 collapsed fists, you are strong enough to be a commander. I, the general of the left wing Yun Lihai, grant you the position of commander of ancient demon city and 10,000 demon soldiers. As the general spoke, his right hand reached out. A green token suddenly appeared and he threw it at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was neutral. After catching the token, he clasped his hands and said, "Thank you, General. You can rest in the city first. 7 days from now someone will bring you to your barracks." Yun Lehai looked at Wang Lin with a hint of admiration before his body flickered and completely disappeared without a trace. After seeing all of this, Yao Shishue was about to speak, but Wang Lin didn't even look at her before turning around and leaving. Yao Shishue's beautiful brow furrowed as she let out a snort and left. Wang Lin casually walked into the distance, and as he walked away, the demonic aura around him slowly dissipated. This was already the center of ancient demon city, so after half an hour, large streets and tall buildings appeared before Wang Lin. Wang Lin sat silently while cultivating inside an inn. He sat there for a total of 4 days and 4 nights. His hair gradually shrank back to what it originally was. Although walking down the demonic path allowed his spells to reach unprecedented power levels, the drawbacks were also huge. Wang Lin's Dao wasn't the demonic Dao, so when his body was filled with demonic ideals, it didn't match his Dao heart. If this lasted for too long, his Dao heart would be affected, and Wang Lin knew that he would completely become a demonic cultivator. Also, due to the incompatibility with his Dao heart, his mind would be overtaken by the demonic ideals. Then he would become just a monster without any trace of sanity. He would only be able to keep his sanity if he devoted his heart to the demonic path like Sichu Nan. With Wang Lin's mental strength, he would not make this kind of mistake. When he entered the demonic path, he was calculating in his heart how long he had been in it. He was constantly pondering about how to enter the demonic state without allowing it to affect his Dao heart. This was why he decided to retreat when the 8th and 9th collapses arrived. It was not that he couldn't fight, but if he continued, his Dao heart would be affected. Also, the reason why Wang Lin decided to enter the demonic state aside from learning about the power of faith was to get an outer position. After showing his strength, even though he didn't pass the 8th collapse, he knew that the general wouldn't just give him an elder position. If this Yun Lehai really was that blind, Wang Lin would have immediately left ancient demon city and returned to the tribe. At most he would just come back later and conquer this city. After spending 4 days and nights in the inn, Wang Lin finally compressed the demonic ideals in his body to a single point and sealed it inside him. This demonic ideal was impossible to remove, and Wang Lin didn't want to remove it because when properly used, it could increase his strength by a lot. 13 and Hu Pao had arrived at the inn 1 day ago and had settled down in the 2 rooms next to Wang Lin's. The reason the 2 of them were able to find him was because Wang Lin called out to them with his divine sense. After several days of cultivation, Wang Lin walked out of the inn on the 5th day, with 13 and Hu Pao following closely after. While walking on the road of ancient demon city, Wang Lin felt like he was in another world. There were many differences between here and the cultivation world, from the buildings to the environment, everything was different. This East Demon Spirit Sea is a world of its own, making it very mysterious. I just don't know how this place formed. Could the rumor that this was the cultivation cave of a powerful celestial emperor before the celestial realm collapsed really be true? Wang Lin couldn't believe it. If the rumor was really true, then this celestial emperor's cultivation was beyond belief. To be able to make his own cultivation cave the size of an entire world was too terrifying to imagine. Although it is a rumor, rumors don't appear without a reason. If this is really the cultivation cave of a celestial emperor, then this is a realm he that himself created. So where did all these natives come from? As Wang Lin walked through the city, he began to ponder. Could it be? Wang Lin's heart trembled, and he had a really crazy idea. Back in his village, some of the villagers would create an area with mud and use it to raise livestock. Wang Lin looked at the world before him and then raised his head to look at the sky. He suddenly had the illusion that he was inside one of those mud pens and these citizens around him were livestock. Wang Lin shook his head and bitterly smiled. He told himself that he was overthinking it, but the idea remained in his head and didn't disappear. 13 and Hu Pao followed behind Wang Lin. 13's expression was always cold, and his gaze was always on Wang Lin's surroundings. If there were any suspicious individuals, he would immediately act. As for Hu Pao, he didn't think too much. His gaze always fell on the various buildings and stalls. His eyes would occasionally light up, meaning he had just spotted something that interested him. Wang Lin had no interest in ancient Demon City at all. After walking for 2 hours, he arrived at a restaurant that was bursting with people. After becoming a cultivator, Wang Lin gradually lost interest in mortal food. Right now he only needed to cultivate to satisfy his body's needs. Just food wasn't enough to capture Wang Lin's attention, but there were giant wine jars outside the restaurant. These wine jars were 30 feet wide and 20 feet tall. There were ladders around the jars where the staff would climb to get wine. Seeing the wine jars, Wang Lin stopped and looked at the name of this restaurant. Green Bamboo Restaurant. There was also a pair of couplets on the side of the restaurant's door. The bamboo and orchid fragrance welcomes the guest. The aroma of the plum and chrysanthemum will send off the lords. Wang Lin looked at the door with interest. At this moment, one of the staff members at the door quickly walked up and smiled. "Sir, my little store's green bamboo wine is a famous wine in the 9 countries, so why not come in for a drink or two? Today we just opened a new jar, and the owner said that anyone who can drink 10 small jars without getting drunk will not have to pay for the wine. This kind of opportunity is rare, so why not come in and have a taste?" This staff member's eyes were very good. Although he couldn't see anything abnormal about Wang Lin, he could tell that 13 and Hu Pao were not simple. These 2 people were clearly guards, so that meant that Wang Lin had to have high status. Wang Lin was interested in what this person said, so he smiled. "Then let me taste just what is so special about this green bamboo wine." With that, he walked into the restaurant. 13 and Hu Pao quickly followed. The inside of the restaurant was very elegant, and it was moderate in size. Right now there were many guests talking and laughing with each other inside. When Wang Lin's group entered, the staff member quickly walked in and shouted, "3 honored guests." Just as he finished shouting, a waiter quickly walked out and said, "Sirs, please follow me. There is a top-quality window seat available, so please follow me to it." With that, he led the way. When he got to the seat next to the window, he used the towel on his elbow to wipe it clean. Wang Lin sat down. 13 and Hu Pao hesitated, but after seeing Wang Lin nod, they sat down across from him. The waiter had good eyes and immediately asked Wang Lin, "Does Sir want to eat anything?" Wang Lin softly said, "Bring 3 small jars of your green bamboo wine." "Okay." The waiter placed the towel on his elbow and left. Soon, he returned with 3 jars of wine and placed down some wine cups. 13 quickly picked up the wine jar and knocked off the mud that was sealing it. He poured a full cup for Wang Lin but didn't drink any himself. Hu Pao swallowed hard. Seeing as how 13 was not drinking, it would be inconvenient for him to drink. He silently muttered complaints in his heart, but none of it showed on his face. Wang Lin picked up the wine and took 1 sip. A flavor of wine involuntarily entered his heart. Wang Lin had only drank 1 kind of wine before, and that was when he was turning into a mortal on planet Suzaku. The wine Daimyo's ancestor left behind. In those several dozens of years, Daimyo would often bring him wine. Gradually, Wang Lin was filled with nostalgia about that wine. Time causes everything to change. I wonder if planet Suzaku is still peaceful. Time is ruthless, and Daimyo's generation of mortals has died long ago. His descendants should still be alive. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with nostalgia. This video will end here.